Today, we're taking an inside look at what scientists believe is the oldest known civilization on Earth. The Aboriginal people of Australia were the first people to live on the continent before European settlers arrived. Listen to this. In July, archaeologists in North Australia uncovered Aboriginal artifacts possibly dating back 80,000 years. Keith Kocinski met up with a young woman in a remote area of Australia who is not only honoring her Aboriginal roots, but is also breaking barriers for Aboriginal people.
Right now we're heading to Bawaka. It's a special place for the indigenous people in this area, but the really cool thing about it is the only way to go there is by special invitation.
Literally the sandiest, healthiest road. This is awesome. Oh my God. I've never been so...
I was invited to Bawaka by Magnolia May Maroon, a traditional Yolno Aboriginal clan member. She was born and raised in Yirrkala, a small indigenous community in Australia's remote and rural Northern Territory. Bawaka is a sacred spot that's been passed through her family for generations. Magnolia was taking me oyster fishing, but first, quick reality check.
What are some dangers that we're going to face in these waters?
Crocodiles, stingrays, jellyfish, stonefish, snakes, specific bugs that you cannot touch, otherwise the acid will burn your fingers.
Well, very comforting.
Magnolia, it looks like there are oysters on top of oysters on top of oysters here. So
yes.
Is this our hunting ground?
Well, this is one of the hunting spots. Just hit the oyster like that a few times.
Can you just eat it like that?
Just eat it fresh off the rocks.
All right, oyster fresh off the rocks. Let's give it a shot. Besides that sand in there, I mean, it's very good.
Magnolia is one of nearly 700,000 Aboriginals and over 500 different clans living in Australia with distinct cultures, beliefs, and languages. And archaeologists believe it may be the oldest living civilization on Earth. But just like many other indigenous cultures, Aboriginals have a history marked by suffering and discrimination.
We were mistreated. We were forced off our lands, forced into different camps. We were used as slaves, murdered, we were raped, families were split apart.
The British arrived in Australia in the late 1700s and began taking over the land. For centuries, the Aboriginals had no rights and were treated poorly.
Even in our constitution today, we're not recognised as a people in this country.
Sometimes you have racism, it's scary. I've come across people who are narrow-minded, who bullies you and does not see you as a human being.
Today, the Aboriginal people are still fighting for their land, and it appears they're making progress.
Why is land so important to people in your community?
It is a backbone. It is the essence of our people's, of our soul, of our spirit.
And young people like Magnolia are helping break barriers. As a model, she's showcasing the beauty of Aboriginal people, featured in magazines, newspapers, and national campaigns.
I'd be nothing without my culture, my language, and my people.
Last year, Magnolia became the first full-blooded Aboriginal to represent Australia in the Miss World Australia competition. And as I learned, there's Magnolia the model, and Magnolia the traditional Yolno Aboriginal clan member.
Looks like you've changed.
I have.
So why is it important for you to change your clothes before going into your community?
For quite a few years now, it's been our dress code. I go off and I wearing jeans or tights and stuff, wearing heels to do runway show or to go somewhere and meet people, and then when I come home, back into community style clothing and back to just culture.
For Magnolia and many other Aboriginal clan members, cultural music, dance, and art survive, carrying on stories for many generations. Even a new emoji of the Aboriginal flag was released on Twitter, helping tell their story.
In this time and age, I think it's important for us to move forward and for people to actually reach out to Yolngu people or Indigenous people of Australia to learn our ways, our culture and our history.
I'm so happy to be the next person placing the bricks and making that extra mile for these other children and the next generation to walk, and I think anyone can do this now.
Keith Kocinski, Channel 1 News.
Great story. Thanks, Keith. And we've got more behind the scenes from Keith's Australian adventure, plus a really cool slideshow on Aboriginal art, all up on channel1.com. Now, before we go, we're going to spin into one more thing. Check out this fidget spinner. It's gone where no spinner has gone before, into space. Astronauts on the International Space Station showed off their spinning tricks in microgravity while playing with the popular toy. Astronaut Randy Bresnik tweeted, "How long does it spin? I'm not sure, but it's a great way to experiment with Newton's laws of motion." So how did this toy get into space? NASA is not sure, but we have a feeling one astronaut sneaked it on board a shuttle mission.